finally, nearly there, except we have a load of pheasants in the way. It's unbelievable how many bloody hundreds of pheasants we've got in front of us, and they're holding us up. And I'm on a track that's got green grass going down the middle.
Do you want to send it or change it?
Send. God, Steve, are we going the right
Done.
way? Hello, and today we're at Cotehele, which is a Gothic house. It's on the Tamar River, and so come along with us and see what we find. We don't know yet.
It was a leisurely stroll from the car park to take us to the entrance to get into Cotehele. And there were these lovely apples. It's one of the things that Cotehele is absolutely known for. So just behind the entrance to Cotehele, where you would actually have to pay to come in, there was a restaurant, and we decided that we'd get a bite to eat before we then explored the house in more detail. We had a lovely sausage bap here, absolutely gorgeous. You could also go outside if you so wanted to.
So we've just had a sausage bap, very nice. And Steve then had a sultana scone with clotted cream and jam. I'm not so keen on clotted cream. Anyway, we're going to go into the house now, which looks very quite Gothic actually. So let's see what we find inside. Come on.
I must say the smells here are absolutely gorgeous. As you go down the drive to get to the entrance of the house, on the right hand side there was the typical National Trust shop, which had a wide variety of plants for sale outside, as well as the usual set of National Trust blankets and other paraphernalia inside. Good selection. It was really nice to see it.
My friend Angela.
Walked up the drive, there was some well-stocked gardens, which were delightful to see.
It's all made out of apples. An apple made out of apples.
And these stairs don't appear to go anywhere. As you go through the entrance to get to the house itself, you appear in this lovely courtyard. Cotehele Estate has a vast history going back many centuries. The house itself is of Tudor origin and was gifted to the National Trust just after the Second World War. So here we are in the main entrance to the house, the Great Hall. The one thing that strikes us about this is the amount of natural light that floods through the windows and the white walls. Virtually every one of the other major rooms in Cotehele has tapestries adorning them that makes them very dark and closed, but this is a much more open space. Cotehele House is very unusual in that as it was passed through the generations, it didn't undergo any significant changes and certainly no structural changes. In fact, today it is probably one of the most complete medieval manors that exists in England, and there seems to be a conscious effort to create a house with a sense of antiquity and romance. To one side of the Great Hall there is a cobbled interior hall, and off of that is the dining room. The dining room was typical of many of the rooms in the house, with these very ornate and historic tapestries that covered every space on the wall, and the curtains slightly drawn in order to reduce the amount of light in the room so that it protected those tapestries for future generations. To one side of the dining room, and partially concealed by a tapestry that was pulled back, was a short flight of stairs that led upstairs towards the chapel. So this is a model of the Cotehele clock mechanism that allowed it to keep time. It was built in about the 1500s and was manually wound and never ever converted to a pendulum. You can see the mechanism, the actual mechanism, to the left hand side here. This room was once attached to the dining room, and it created something known as the parlour of peers, but over the centuries its name and its function changed on numerous occasions until finally in the 19th century the punch room was born. And this room was similar to the dining room in that it was adorned by these really heavy and ornate historic tapestries which made the room really, really dark. The ground floor of the northwest tower is taken over by the white bedroom, which has a really ornate ceiling. And in one corner, concealed behind the tapestries, or would have been concealed behind the tapestries, was the china closet, a really unique piece to find in a bedroom, and was believed to have been put there to increase the romantic appeal of Cotehele House. Not quite sure how that worked though. Came out of the white room and entered into the landing, where we could either go right to the red room or down back towards the great hall.
Grenades! Oh my god!
And it was about this time that the fire alarms went off and we were told to vacate the premises until the all clear had been sounded. So we trooped outside, as you do, and waited for the all clear, which came about 10 minutes later. This area, the landing, the red room and the south room, at one time was all one room called the Great Chamber, and it was this room that the family would come to in order to retreat from the rest of the house. Those days the ceiling would have been an arched ceiling, very similar to the one that's seen in the Great Hall. So the division of the Great Chamber created the south room, and that was known as the best bedroom, probably because of the amount of natural sunlight that came through the south-facing windows. Bedroom had a couple of interesting features. In one corner there is a spy hole that overlooks the hall, where one can observe either what is going on or hear what is being said.
Little peephole. A peephole, yeah.
What type of
I'll go and have a look. You can see down.
And the second interesting feature in this room was the westerly closet, which featured a window overlooking the chapel. Now, I don't know if this was because of the way that the room was modified at some point in time in its history, or whether it was so that observers could keep an eye on what was going on in the chapel. So the old drawing room is the second floor of the tower and is immediately above the white room that we looked at earlier. It has a linen feature internal porch that you can see in the video. on the outside of the old drawing room, you can climb some stairs to get to the final 2 rooms in the tower, and both of which featured studded doors. So downstairs was an exhibition which showed some of the contemporary history surrounding Cotehele House. Cider press here?
No, I missed that. Where's that?
No, right, that's what it says in the literature.
Oh.
There's a cider press here at some point.
Well, you like a cider, don't you?
Yeah. And outside the exhibition was this area, which I assume at one time would have been a boot room. So the main part of the kitchen is Tudor, very much like the Great Hall, and when it was created it effectively formed a kitchen courtyard, which we will see later. Kitchen is believed not to have changed significantly over the centuries, which is mind-boggling given the regularity that these days we would change kitchens in our own houses. So the kitchen has 2 fireplaces. The main one is on the west side and is formed out of granite, and a later addition was made on the north side, which acted both as a fireplace and also as an oven.
I wouldn't want to be, I'm in the scullery and I wouldn't want to be doing the washing in here. Is that where they did the washing in the scullery? Did the washing up, I think, with these copper things. They'd put all the plates and everything in there, wouldn't they? Then you've got all the copper pans and everything around here. No, rather nowadays, I think.
With the dishwasher. was a series of formal terraces that start the gardens with superb views overlooking the valley. One side of the terraces there is this area which is a little tunnel which leads under the wall and into the valley garden. This included a thatched Victorian summer house, a medieval stew pond and a dovecot as well. And of course, as luck would have it, no sooner had I got from the furthest point from the house than it started to rain. Cotehele is known for its apples, as you would probably have guessed given the huge apple graphic that was at the entrance when we came in. And it has a few orchards which were originally part of the deer park that surrounded the gardens, and these days are now filled with a variety of trees including apples, but it also has some cherry and plum trees as well. The apples are used for both food and drink. The orchards provide a home for many different insects. And round the back of the entrance into Cotehele House, we found a really nice garden centre doing what we found the National Trust does best, which is to sell some of the plants. We've always been happy with the plants that we've got from the National Trust. They've always done very well, been fine specimens, and have given us lots of pleasure. Well, as the garden centre, there was a gift shop which sold slightly more artistic items than the other shop that we saw previously. Having explored the house and gardens, we decided it was time to move on and go and explore the quay, which is on the banks of the River Tamar. It's a short walk, but we decided we'd use the car and save our legs. There was ample parking and it made a nice walk. We stopped off in a little tea shop, having a snack and some iced drinks, and then explored around the area, which included a discovery centre and a number of relics of a bygone age.